Hello lore masters and history buffs of Westeros today. We are journeying back thousands of years to explore the epic, often tragic and deeply intertwined histories of two powerful peoples, the Rhoynar of the Riverlands and the Targaryens of Valyria. You might think their stories only converge with the marriage of Prince Rhaegar and Ilya Martell, but their connection, and their contrast, runs much, much deeper. It's a tale of fire and water, of conquest and exile, and it shapes the very world of A Song of Ice and Fire. Let's start with the Rhoynar. Long before the Andals or the first men, the Rhoynar thrived along the massive river Rhoyne in Essos. They weren't conquerors. They were a vibrant civilization of city-states, artists, and merchants. Their culture was deeply connected to the river, which they worshipped as Mother Rhoyne. They practiced a unique form of water magic, using it to defend their cities and nurture their lands. Cities like Rhoyne and Sarmel were marvels of their time, filled with palaces, fountains, and towers. The Rhoynar were led by princes and princesses, with power often passed down matrilineally, a stark contrast to the patriarchal societies around them. They valued peace, art, and harmony with nature. Meanwhile, on a volcanic peninsula to the west, another power was rising, the Valyrian freehold. Where the Rhoynar drew strength from water, the Valyrians commanded fire. They were dragonlords, shepherds who discovered dragons in 14 flames volcanoes and learned to bond with and ride them. With this unparalleled military advantage, the Valyrians began a relentless expansion. They were driven by an insatiable hunger for resources, land, and slaves to toil in their fiery mines. Their society was built on conquest and dominance, ruled by powerful dragonlord families. The most powerful of these, though not the most prominent at the time, was a family known as Targaryen for a long time. These two great powers coexisted, separated by geographically differing ambitions. The Valyrians expanded east and north, while the Rhoynar were content with their river domains. But inevitably, the Valyrian thirst for expansion brought them to the banks of the Rhoyne. The first clashes began with the Valyrian colony of Volantis, which started slowly encroaching on Rhoynish territory. The conflict simmered for centuries, a series of border wars and skirmishes. The Rhoynar, with their water wizards, were formidable opponents, able to raise massive waterspouts and summon river creatures to defend their homes. But they were fighting a decentralized war against a unified, relentless foe. The tipping point came with the Second Spice War. After the Valyrians of Volantis captured and horrifically sacked the Rhoynish city of Sarmel, the Rhoynar knew they could no longer fight as divided city-states. It was a warrior princess who would unite them, Nymeria of Nysar. She recognized the existential threat the dragonlords posed. She rallied all the Rhoynar princes under a single banner, assembling a colossal army of 250,000 soldiers to finally push back the Valyrian threat. The Rhoynish Wars had begun in earnest. At first, Nymeria's united army saw incredible success. They defeated Volantian armies and even captured a few of their dragons using their powerful water magic. But Volantis pushed to the brink, called for help from the Valyrian freehold itself, and the freehold answered. 300 dragonlords, a force of unimaginable power, descended upon the Rhoyne. The legendary Rhoynish leader, Prince Garin the Great, met them in battle. He boasted that he would drown the dragons, and initially, his water magic was devastating, but fire and blood proved stronger. Garin was captured, his armies were incinerated, and he was forced to watch as his city Rhoyne was utterly destroyed. Legend says he called down a curse upon his captors with his dying breath, a curse that created the sorrows, the foggy, disease-ridden swamp that Rhoyne became, turning the conquerors into the stone men. With the Rhoynar armies shattered and their cities in ruins, Princess Nymeria made a choice not of war, but of survival. She gathered the survivors, mostly women, children, and the elderly, into a legendary fleet of 10,000 ships. They would not stay to be enslaved by the dragonlords. They would find a new home. This began one of the greatest migrations in the history of this world. Nymeria led her people on an arduous journey across the Summer Sea, searching for a safe haven. They tried to settle in Sathoras north in the Basilisk Isles, but faced disease, pirates, and hostile locals at every turn. Many died, and many ships were lost. After years of wandering, Nymeria's battered fleet finally reached the shores of Dorne in southern West. Dorne was then a patchwork of squabbling kings and lords. Nymeria saw an opportunity. She allied herself with Lord Mors Martell, a minor lord with grand ambitions. She married him, and in a powerful symbolic act, she burned her entire fleet at the mouth of the Greenblood River. There would be no going back. Their new home was Dorne. Together, Nymeria and Mors Martell united all of Dorne under their rule, blending Rhoynish laws and customs with local traditions. This is why Dornish culture is so unique. The equal rights for men and women, the title of prince instead of king, and the tolerance for different lifestyles all stemmed directly from their Rhoynish heritage. Nymeria had not just saved her people, she had forged a new kingdom, while Nymeria was building a new life for the Rhoynar in Dorne. What about the Targaryens? They were a minor dragonlord family in Valyria, far from the most powerful. But they had one thing the others didn't: a prophet. Denys the Dreamer, a Targaryen daughter, had a vision of a cataclysm that would destroy them. Heeding her warning, her father Anor Targaryen moved his entire family, their 5 dragons, and their wealth to the farthest western outpost of the Valyrian freehold, a gloomy volcanic island called Dragonstone. The other dragonlords mocked them for this perceived cowardice, but 12 years later, Denys's dream came true. The Doom of Valyria, a massive volcanic event, shattered the peninsula, destroyed the freehold, and wiped out nearly every dragonlord and dragon in the world. The Targaryens safe on Dragonstone were the sole survivors. For a century, known as the Century of Blood, the Targaryens remained on Dragonstone, consolidating their power while the former Valyrian colonies in Essos tore each other apart. Then, a new ambition took hold. Aegon Targaryen looked west, not east. He saw the 7 kingdoms of Westeros divided and ripe for the taking. With his 2 sister wives, Visenya and Rhaenys, and their 3 dragons Valyrian, Vega and Meraxes, he launched his conquest. The Targaryens, with their fire and blood, did what no one had ever done before. They united 6 of the 7 kingdoms under a single ruler, forging the Iron Throne from the swords of their defeated enemies. Fire had come to Westeros, but one kingdom refused to bend, break, or burn: Dorne, the kingdom of Nymeria's children. When Rhaenys Targaryen flew Meraxes to Sunspear, she found the castles empty. The aged princess of Dorne, Nymeria Martell, told her, "This is Dorne. You are not wanted here. Return at your peril." The Targaryens learned the hard way that conquering Dorne was not like conquering the rest of Westeros. The Dornish refused to meet them in open battle where dragons held the advantage. Instead, they waged a brilliant guerrilla war, using the harsh desert terrain to their advantage, striking quickly and melting away. They even managed the unthinkable. During the First Dornish War, a scorpion bolt fired in Hellhold struck Meraxes through the eye, killing both the dragon and Queen Rhaenys. It was a devastating blow to the Targaryens and a victory that cemented Dornish defiance. For over 150 years, Dorne remained independent, a thorn in the side of the Targaryen dynasty. The Targaryens tried conquest again under Daeron I, the young dragon, who briefly succeeded but was ultimately killed. His conquest collapsed. Finally, the Targaryens realized what the Valyrians never had: you cannot conquer everyone with fire alone. Peace was achieved not through war, but through marriage. King Daeron II, known as Daeron the Good, peacefully brought Dorne into the 7 kingdoms by marrying the Dornish princess Nymeria Martell and marrying his own sister to the ruling prince of Dorne. It was a union of equals, a diplomatic masterpiece. Water and fire had finally found a way to coexist, not through conquest, but through mutual respect and family ties. So you see, the stories of the Rhoynar and the Targaryens are 2 sides of the same coin. Both were powerful Essos peoples who came to Westeros as exiles, seeking a new destiny. The Targaryens fled a prophesied doom, arriving as conquerors with fire-breathing dragons. The Rhoynar fled a very real doom, arriving as refugees led by a princess who burned her ships behind her. One built an empire on fire and blood, the other built a kingdom on resilience and adaptation. Their long and bloody history, from the Rhoynish Wars to the Dornish resistance, finally culminated in a peaceful union that forever changed the political landscape of West. It's this legacy, the mingling of Rhoynish water and Targaryen fire, that flows through the veins of characters like Rhaegar, Ilya, and their son, Jon Snow. It's a powerful reminder that in the Game of Thrones, history is never truly in the past. Thanks for joining this deep dive into the lore of Westeros. If you enjoyed this journey through history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe at Stories and Tales for more. Let me know in the comments which part of this ancient rivalry you find most fascinating. Until next time, keep your histories straight and your dragons fed.